and I am a connector. I like to connect the community with the proper resources within the bank. Sometimes I've learned that we just don't know what we don't know.
We're just so excited to continue to come back in and just to share the power of prayer with men that are going to the next level of their growth. First off, I want to just add to the prayer list Greg Williams. Greg is graciously introduced our guest speaker this morning, and he had his next to last cancer treatment on yesterday. He'll be ringing the bell for good on this Thursday, so we want to keep him up in prayer. Um, this whole month has got me like super excited because the most important and incredible thing that happens in our lives is that we get to develop revenue and income in our finances. We get to participate in the economic system, but often we incur something that is almost destructive, and it's called debt. And most people, you might as well say death, because debt is suffocating and it's crushing. And this morning, we've got a gentleman that's actually in the banking industry. He's a community liaison. He goes out across the community and just do financial literacy programming, similar to what Victor Johnson does, but his is from a uniquely different perspective. It's with American National Bank. And so we're privileged this morning just to have his expertise on display. He's going to talk, and his subject matter is this life after debt. Now, we started this whole economic series talking about giving. Now we're going to talk about probably the least attractive part of this whole economic plank or process, which is debt. We get rid of that, then all the other things we're able to elevate. So please welcome Fannon Meado. He's got just a wide ranging profile. He's a Marine, hint. He's lived in Birmingham. He's been all over, but we've for the last 11 years he's been here in Dallas. He comes from humble beginnings, and he doesn't forget that, and he wants to share with you how you can continue in your own strength. So please welcome Mr. Fannon Meado. Brandon, are you there?
I am here. Good morning, gentlemen. Well,
We're
well,
not going to
thank
talk back. We're just going to listen to you.
Well, thank you so much for your time here today. It's a privilege and honor. As mentioned, I'm from American National Bank of Texas. We are a small independent bank headquartered out of the big city of Turl. We have been around since 1875, 150 years, with 30 locations in the Metroplex and 8 counties. As mentioned, I am the Community Development Officer, and I get the privilege of going to the communities to share information such as financial education. I am also responsible for the philanthropic grants that the bank gives. And I am a connector. I like to connect the community with the proper resources within the bank. Sometimes I've learned that we just don't know what we don't know. And sometimes as a people, we just find it uncomfortable to step up in a banking center and start asking questions. So I like to kind of ease that just a little bit by being a connector for the community. And gentlemen, I make myself available to you guys as well. So I have a small presentation here that I'm going to go through, but I really want the conversation to just be just genuine and free flowing. So I am going to start presenting. And can you all see my screen okay? Yeah, so we're just going to go and get started here. Break the cycle of debt, financial strategies for men and households. Here are some statistics here, gentlemen. 51% of Americans are living paycheck to paycheck. 35% feel trapped in a debt cycle. And it says the average credit card hit $7,500, a 28% increase from the previous year. And this data is as of this year. But I really want to focus on the last column there. Excuse me, let me go back. The last bullet point here, 86% of people with debt report worsening mental health. 1 in 3 report losing sleep. That is what's catching, I think, a lot of men today as we are providers for our families. And when you cannot provide for your family or you have some tremendous concerns, you lose sleep. And as we all know, brothers, whenever you do not get a good night rest and get some good sleep, that can lead to major health concerns. Then, of course, health concerns leads to potentially losing your job or cannot progress in your job, and it creates a domino effect. So, mental health is really affected by debt. The pressure as a man here, um, the burden of responsibility. 86% of men define manhood as being a provider, leading to intense pressure. We've been raised that way, right? We've been raised that we're providers, we're to take care of our families, we're the head of household, and we take that on, and that's a good responsibility and a good mission and a good task. But again, with debt, it becomes a burden and not really an honor to lead your family. And then you have the solid suffering. Men are less likely to seek financial advice with 22% not comfortable asking for help. Again, leading to higher rates of anxiety and frustration. Just naturally, it's hard for us to say, "I need help. I am drowning." But we have to do that, gentlemen. We have to. And then you have the financial infidelity. Half of men admit to hiding debt or spending habits from their partner. That is major. Oftentimes, people have credit cards their spouses do not know about. They have other things their spouses simply do not know about. And as we all know, it's important for us to have a healthy financial household. We have to share this information with our family. And then I'm going to take it a step further. We have to really break the cycle or the taboo of not speaking about finances with our children. We have to involve them somewhat in the conversation about debt, credit, etc., with our children, so that they do not get themselves into the exact same situation. And then you have the consequence. Men carry higher average debts in auto loans, mortgages, and personal loans compared to women. We just again feel that we need to take care of things a certain way, and we take on these responsibilities. And again, if it's not managed correctly, it can cause major issues. Just a little bit about the anatomy of the debt cycle. Um, the trigger, what causes debt? Unexpected expenses, medical, car repairs, or income reduction. That's the beginning of it. That's the trigger. And then what do? We use credit cards, and now they have the buy now, pay later plans on most websites to cover essentials. And then once we do that, we accumulate a high interest rate. I noted here 25%. It varies back and forward. I think the average now is about 26%. And if you have certain cards, it goes all the way up to 32, almost 33% interest rate. And that balance grows faster, than your payments. And as a result of that, your paycheck, you just start living paycheck to paycheck with no savings, creating a continuous loop of dependency to lenders. And I just want to remind you that the Bible says that the borrower is the slave to the lender. And we never want to be in that position. Now, how do we break the cycle? As the head of the household, you want to do an audit. List every debt, interest rate, and minimum payment. What I tell people all the time that if you're not willing to take a step back and spend time to audit and write all of your debt and your bills together, right down, you're not serious. You're not serious. So whenever I'm speaking to someone as a banker about this and I ask for this type of information or say, hey, when was the last time you looked at it? And folks say, oh, no, I don't do that. I have an app, I have this, I have that. Well, some apps are okay. But I just believe sometimes you have to go to the old school and take that pressure and physically write it out where you can see where you are and understand your situation. Then you want to stop the bleeding. Cut up or freeze credit cards. Do not cancel them because, as we all know, that you want to keep your credit cards because of their history. If you know, if, especially good history. So do not cancel your cards. Just cut them up or freeze the cards. and then delete saved payments info online. Track spending. Identify emotional spending triggers. Gentlemen, I will be very honest with you. I used to have an addiction to Starbucks. And every morning I would go get me a white chocolate mocha, and it was costing me about $5. And I did it continuously. Then sometimes I would get stressed out at work. I would go grab me some kind of drink from Starbucks for lunch. So I found myself spending a lot of money at Starbucks again just to soothe this emotion. I did the same thing with Waffle House. So now picture this. I'm spending about $15 in the morning at Waffle House. I then grab me a $5 Starbucks drink going into work, and then I may grab me a $5 Starbucks drink for lunch and something else. So it's possible in any given day I would spend between $40 to $50 just on two meals and two drinks. That really, really adds up. So when I was, again, personal moment here, when I was working on my credit and debt, that's the first thing I stopped. So now I treat myself to Starbucks on paydays. And sometimes I don't go then because I've learned that it was, again, emotional trigger. So we have to be honest with ourselves and identify those. And then you want to set a strict budget, prioritize essentials, food, housing, and then cut non-essentials, as I just mentioned. Contrary to what we believe, Starbucks is not an essential. Then you break the cycle. Steps to reduce your debt here. You have the debt snowball effect. That's where you pay off the smallest debt first for mental wins. Then you roll the payments into the next smallest. You have the debt avalanche. You target high interest debt first to save the most interest. That's what many people do. You have an emergency fund. You should aim to have $1,000 starter fund to avoid using credit in emergencies, then grow to 3 to 6 months expenses. I want to stop there just for a moment. What I've also seen is that many people do not have $1,000 in their emergency fund. To be honest with you, you have folks that don't have 500, and in some cases, gentlemen, you have people who do not have $100 in their emergency fund. They truly live paycheck to paycheck. So whenever I talk to individuals about growing their emergency fund from 3 to 6 months experience to 3 to 6 months experience, it seems unrealistic. It seems that, hey, I just cannot do that. But I'm going to just step back for a moment. That's where a budget comes into play. And you sit and look at your money and tell your money where it's going versus wondering where it went. And that's what I tell individuals about their emergency fund. And also, again, I'm with American National Bank of Texas, of course. But what I also encourage people to do is get an account on the side with a little credit union and just put your money away so that you don't see it often. And that's how you can get your emergency fund. And then you have the 15-3 payment trick. Pay 15 days before the due date. And again, 3 days before to lower interest and credit utilization. So now we have some debt relief options. Nonprofit credit counseling. Get a free or low cost session to build a debt management plan. I like to emphasize the word free here because oftentimes you have people that are in debt and then they choose to pay additional monies to folks to help them either get out of debt or do something sneaky to move it around or whatever the mission the person that's charging them might be trying to do. But guys, look for free options. And then you have a debt consolidation loan if that's an option for you. Use a bank or credit union to combine high interest debt into one low interest payment. And the reason I say if that's an option for you, some people use debt consolidation loan as a buzzword. If you're already strapped and your debt to income is already high or too high, the odds of you getting a debt consolidation loan is very slim. And I know that again, people have started using debt consolidation loan as a buzzword, but you still have to qualify for that loan. And as a banker, we have to make sure that your debt to income ratio is still in order for you to do that. And then you have credit hardship programs. Contact creditors directly to request lower rates or reduce payments. That's where relationship comes. And what I also share with the community and share with you brothers, Don't be afraid to pick up the phone and call your creditors and tell them your situation. If you remember a few years ago, we had a little situation called the pandemic. That was a good opportunity for folks to call their creditors and just chat. Hey, I've been impacted by the pandemic. Um, it's important if we lived out in states like California where they have natural disasters, same thing. It's important to pick up the phone and call your creditors and say, hey, I've been impacted. Hey, how can you help me? I want to pay you, but guys, I'm just in a situation at this time. In most cases, they will work with you. But as I stated earlier about relationships, if you say, hey, I need this payment plan, try your best to complete the payment plan. And if you cannot, give them a call because again, it goes back to the relation piece of it. And then you have the last option, debt settlement or bankruptcy. It's a legal option in extreme cases, requiring attorney guidance. I do not recommend a debt settlement or bankruptcy at all, but as I will state, every household is different, and gentlemen, you have to manage your household based on your own unique situation. Now, how do we protect our future? So you have the debt. We want to get out of this situation. We want to make sure that our future is protected because we want to leave a legacy. That's what men do. First, you want to review your insurance. Ensure adequate coverage, home, auto, life, to prevent emergencies from becoming catastrophic. I will admit, I've recently had some funerals that I've attended, and these individuals did not have life insurance. And in most cases, the same individuals, they had assets. Makes you wonder if they had wills, transfer upon death deeds, things of that nature. But these are some very basic things that men should do to make sure their household is taken care of in their future. And as I stated earlier, you want to involve the family, educate kids on budgeting, share financial goals, saving for to create shared purpose. Whenever I take and speak to high schools or speak to parents of kids, what I tell them, I call it the financial literacy 360. And I let the parents know that it's important for them to engage their children because if they're saving for a vacation, they need to be able to tell this child no to McDonald's a few times a week so that they can save money. Same goes if they're looking for a larger purchase, such as a house. You may have to cut back and tell these kids, hey, guess what? We're not able to do that now. So if you involve them in the process, the children understand and hopefully they will form these good habits as well in terms of financial managing your finances. And then you want to seek help. As I stated earlier, combat the shame and silence. Use pro bono, free financial planning or therapy to address the emotional weight of debt. Guys, debt is killing people day in and day out. And I will say this, it's not just unique to our community. Debt is really affecting many folks, especially in the state of the economy today. Gentlemen, I know I zipped through that real quick. I'll take some questions now. And I just want to leave you with this. Getting out of debt is 20% head knowledge and 80% behavior. It all starts with discipline.
Well, my goodness, you had me you had me feeling kind of some kind of way. I'm like, all those are tips that are just logical things that we should be doing. When you're talking about involving the kids, that's so crucial. You know, I'm a girl dad and raising my girls to be able to take care of themselves in the event that they needed to was that financial piece was so very important. But you talk about that financial that provider pressure trap as men, the pressure of being the provider, of being the nurturer, being the protector. And with the world being the way it is, and just so topsy-turvy, that puts an amount of anxiety. So you should have been on last month because we had your counterpart, Dr. Dent, the guy from Mobile, okay, the Marine, he was talking about this whole, the mental pressure of it all, and you kind of took us a little bit there. But that whole thing about, just think about how much at $20 a day, $40 a day, that's 200, that's 25, $250, that's $1,000. That's a lot. Now Starbucks need to get up out of your pocket on that one.
Hey, most definitely. And like I said, I use the example of Starbucks. I know a lot of women, they use what's it called, Sephora and Ulta, the makeup places.
Oh, yeah.
That's what they do. It's a therapy session for them. So we all have these little
Retail therapy.
things that we do. And to your point, doing your quick math, it can get very, very expensive. And before you know it, you end up, in my case, with a big belly, and with a woman's case, a whole lot of makeup. And you sit around like, whoa, I shouldn't have done that. But oftentimes we do that years later, whenever we're trying to accomplish something, right? Buy a house or whatever the case may be. And someone asks about a down payment, and you're like, whoa, I don't have it. And you say, well, I shoulda, coulda, woulda. So we really have to stop those habits.
Are you still sharing your screen?
I am not. I will.
Okay. No, no, I thought I saw it up well, gentlemen, the floor is open. We'd like to I mean this is a hot trigger subject matter here. We're talking about breaking a cycle. Um what is it delete save payments. Oh, I like that. That was that. So you got all these saved payments on that credit card, and sometimes you wake up and it's just you said, "Oh, thank you for the payment." You're like, "What payment?" But you've already saved the automated process in that. And if you don't think about it, it could really, especially if you're planning for something and you forgot that you've got maybe $500 or $600 that's going to just automatically come out. That can really jack up your flow there. Gentlemen, the floor is open.
Hey, good
Yeah,
morning,
go,
brother.
go ahead, Pastor Sauce.
Yes, sir. Thank you for your service in the Marine. I'm a United States Army veteran myself. Cool.
They're going to hold it against you.
But what I would like to ask you about, we hear the term good debt. Explain to us what is some good debt to have.
A good debt would be mortgage. That's the easy example. Many of us don't have three or $400,000 to pay cash for a house. Mortgage is good debt, but I would even say with a mortgage, you should have a plan to get out of that debt. Many of us are going to sign a 30-year mortgage. I would immediately come up with a plan to pay that in less time, because if you look at the math on a mortgage, whatever you sign for on that piece of paper, you pay it out in 30 years, you're going to actually pay triple the amount. So if that's $300,000, you'll end up paying $900,000 for that mortgage in 30 years.
Wow.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
So I'll jump in. I thank you. First of all, thank you for your service and for a very polished and high level presentation on financial literacy. I actually love this time of year. This is one of my favorite months for for what we every year we have these different themes in different months. In April, we always dedicate it to financial literacy because in ministry, I just don't think uh, particularly in the African American church, but I think in most churches, we don't dedicate or allocate the right amount of time to financial literacy. And I think more than anything today, with the great divide, great getting wider, that we don't just ring the bell and pull the fire alarm on financial literacy. We have to be better with our finances and also just understanding how to be smarter with our money, how to save money, how to make money. And a lot of guys, and especially me, I was this way for a long time. I know how to get the money, but I was a champion spender. And
Yes.
so and people don't realize our economy is really based on our spending habits. And so we both, but there's a delicate balance there. So managing debt and understanding debt is very important. It's not sexy. It doesn't scream and make you shout. It doesn't give you goosebumps, but it forces you to think, and that's why it needs to be. And in my opinion, in the kingdom, it needs to be forced down our throat a little bit more. I think the agenda needs to be bigger. We need men like yourself to champion this cause, and you keep it up, brother. I think that you should just make a ministry out of going around to the different churches, African American churches in general, and making it as simple as possible. Making it, you might have to mash it down to baby food so
Yes.
people can get it. But financial literacy has to be the agenda right now because it's a lot of people are hurting right now, and with things the way things are going, if you don't get in front of understanding the opportunities that are out there, then you could get caught up pretty easily. And don't get your banking advice from a celebrity on TikTok. They're just trying to get clicks, you know.
Said all the
But anyway,
time.
just want to say thank you. But I do think this is an agenda that we need to just financial literacy is something that the kingdom should take up more frequently.
And I agree with you 100%. And I am in the Dallas Metroplex. So if any of y'all would like to include me in your church or have me involved there, again, as I stated, I'll make myself available. And Brother Franklin, I also want to just thank you for confirmation. This is something that I've really said that I need to do more. I do it for the bank because it's my job, but I have to make this a personal ministry to make sure that my people get this information.
Amen. Do it, man.
Good morning, Brother Meadows. Wonderful presentation this morning. I had to go back and look at some things that happened in my life, but I have a question for you. What advice do you give to those who are afraid to look into their financial situation, thinking that they're going to be made to feel bad because they fell into a bad financial situation? What advice do you give those that are afraid to look into their own financial situation and look for recovery?
Yeah, I think the first thing to do is to thine own self be true. So it's an issue that you have to address. I think also you have to say as a man, I mean, I've signed for it. I've said I've used this credit card or whatever the case may do. May have been. As a man, I have to admit to I spent the money. I now need to pay the money. Now that's easier said than done. But I think more so to answer the question maybe a different way. What do you want your future to look like? Do I want to put my family in a house? Do I want to be able to start a business? You have to ask yourself those questions. And if the answer is yes, you just kind of, again, I know this is I'm gonna mention a Marine term. Sometimes you got to just reach down, grab hold, and just go ahead and address your situation. But it's just like anything else. I mean, if you're alcoholic, you got to first say, guess what? I'm alcoholic. You have to admit it. And the same thing about debt. You know you're in debt because your paycheck is $2,000. And as you minute those automatic payments, you wake up a few days later, you got $75 in your bank account. There's a problem. Now the question becomes how concerned and what desire do you have to get out of that debt? So you have to address the issue. It's hard,
Yes.
but again, I think it's
Yes.
important for all of us brothers on this call to support each other, right? Iron sharpens iron. And part of that support means that you have to tell your story. I know about bad debt. I know about a repossession that wasn't even mine. My first repossession came in 1995 when I co-signed for a car for my sister. And I was in the Marine Corps. They wrecked it with no insurance. Had no clue until I got the Marine Corps 2 years later. But we have to tell those stories and be able to connect with people.
Yes. One of the things that I found out that worked for me when I was facing financial crisis, and I learned over the years to address my financial situation head on with my creditors, rather than because I took time to pay people to try that I thought would clean up my credit, but they end up asking me stuff that they should already know. So I took it upon myself to address my creditors head on and work out a workable solution that satisfied them and satisfy my home so I can move forward into establishing better credit.
Yes, yes, yes. And I know many people have credit repair companies and
Yeah.
call themselves entrepreneurs. And
Yeah.
I'm not going to bash anybody on what they do, but I will tell you this, I would never pay anybody to do something that I can do because
Yeah.
the only thing that a credit repair company is doing is they're following the law. It's the same law
That's
that you can
right.
follow.
What And once again, Brother Mellis, thank you again for such a dynamic presentation on this morning. And the scripture that you quoted earlier, that the lender is slave to the borrower. And I think if for me to just let that sink in, that we hear the old saying, robbing Peter to pay Paul. When in debt, it's that stress that it brings, those sleepless nights, those headaches, that hypertension and heart attacks and strokes because we're struggling trying to make ends meet and living paycheck to paycheck. I think it's at 51%
Yes, sir.
Households live paycheck to paycheck.
Yes, sir.
That's just a frightening statistic when you think about it, and especially in our community and stuff. So thank you for bringing this knowledge out to us so we could take it back to other people as well to enlighten them to live debt free. Thank you again, brother.
My pleasure. And I will take note again, as I mentioned, we're wise in age. But think about the 22, 23-year-old college grads. They have no debt. They have no kids. They have no mortgage, and they are still living paycheck to paycheck. That's where we have to break the cycle. That's where we have to break the cycle. And I'll speak very transparently. There are other cultures that's not taking place, and you see the financial gap. You see the wealth gap, and that wealth gap, guys, that's taking place today. It's not the turtle. It's the rabbit. This gap is, I mean, it is flying. But there's this particular group that, I mean, they've mastered, I'm going to say it, in a sense, how to live.
Great. Hey, phenomenal job. I'm gonna ditto like for Benny Franklin was saying. Just great presentation, very well prepared. So we're just so grateful for you taking time out of your schedule to
Thank you
pour
very
into us
much.
this morning. One thing that I can say to you, brother Fannon, is that my wife is so disciplined when it comes to with the financing. She, I mean, regardless, even before our paycheck hit our account, she's already written a tie. Period. Don't even think about trying to spend something first. I mean, always. And I was just wondering with you when you're counseling Christians, is that something that you say, hey, look, this is what the word of God says for us to be obedient and do, is the 10%. And she does it. I'm talking to the point where when we moved from California, we sold our place and we made quite a bit of money off of it. And man, my head was about ready just to burst because she go, oh no, that's separate. I've already set that aside. I go, ooh. But again, that's just consistent even to this day. I don't care. I mean, I've seen some people give her $10 and I've seen her set aside the dollar. I go, what are you doing? Oh, I'm putting this in. I mean, that's just so I'm just
Yes.
wondering, do you
Wow, I love it. And as I mentioned earlier, guys, I'm very honest, very transparent. End of last year, I prayed to God to make me a better steward of my finances, my household, my children, everything. God, you gave me this. You gave me this. Give me the ability to manage it better. So again, transparent moment at 51 years old, I started tithing for the first time this year, 10% on everything. And to your point, brother Reggie, with your wife, I get up. I mean, I'm just in banking. It's just what I do. My direct deposit hits 3:30, 4 o'clock in the morning. I get up early on Friday. And I mean, I'm talking about right then. I don't pay my tithe on Sunday. I mean, I'm talking about right then. I go ahead and pay my 10%. I'm also a disabled American veteran. On the first of the month, same deal. I wake up, I pay my 10% on that. I call myself the king of hustles. I also got me a little hustle on the side. It doesn't pay much money at all, but whenever I get whatever I get from them, I pay my 10% on that. And I'm going to tell you what I've seen, and this is my testimony that I tell folks all the time. Guys, I am putting more money out, but just miraculously, by the grace of God, there's more money in my bank account. I'm still trying to figure out the math. I think I thought I was good with math. But I'm sitting there like, wait a minute, I'm putting money out, you know, and I'm like, but my savings increase, the balance of my checking account increase. And I'm like, this some strange math, but guess what? I'll take it. And then more importantly, I'm gonna tell folks about it.
Hey, Brother Fannon, I wanted to ask because you made mention of one of our cultural counterparts that seems to be getting it right by your assessment. Is there a best practice that you can inform us about that you think is the standout that we should incorporate?
Multi-generational living.
Mm. So we pass.
Multi-generational living. We take pride as a people that my baby just got their first apartment. We take pride as a people. My baby just got their first car over here at the Mercedes Benz. We take pride that, ooh, woo, 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 woo. This culture that I'm speaking of, they don't do that. It's understood that when you get out of college, when you whatever, you're gonna come home, you're gonna contribute something, but it's gonna be a little bit. But more importantly, your contribution is to yourself through savings. Because guess what's ready to happen? When you leave here, you're not going to the apartment complex. When you leave here, you're going to buy you a house. Another thing that I've learned is that we have a tendency to, our house has to meet a certain standard, right? We have to live with the Joneses. What I've found about this particular demographic, they will go buy a house that may not be the house that you'll buy. But what I mentioned earlier about the 30-year mortgage, what they'll do is they'll sign a 30-year mortgage and then they'll mess around and pay this house off in 5 years. Many
Mm.
of the neighborhoods that they live in are being gentrified. So to what was it, brother? I think it was brother Reggie's point about making money. They take this house, they pay it off real quick, so they don't pay all their interest to the bank. Then you turn around and get in these gentrified neighborhoods, East Dallas, and someone comes along and says, "Guess what? I'll pay you $500,000 for the house." Well, they only paid 250 for it in this economy, and they paid off quickly. So with the interest, they only paid 300,000 all in. So they're making $200,000 on this house. That's how they do it. That's how they do it.
It's kind of interesting because
Multi-generational living is a key.
I'm in a pretty nice neighborhood. Our neighbor next door, there are three generations in that house right now, right? And it's multiplied. And, I know you being real nice, but I'm gonna go ahead and say the Indian culture. They are in here, and I'm amazed at some of the things they do. But we believe in that. Well, they believe in that, and I think it's something that for their best practice that we do. Do a staging point for our children to go to that next level. In most cases, we had to be out the house at 18. There was no, standing on the shoulders of our parents, and then getting established. And I think that's a practice that we have to rethink because it really don't make sense. I don't even know how I'm still here after being out on my own after I got out the army and did all other stuff. And I didn't have a clue. 21, 22, 23, having a baby. It made no sense. That we're not even equipped for it. So I agree with you. That's one of the things that we ought to take in practice.
And I know we're at time, but I just want to make mention of what you just said, Brother Raphael. To take this stuff a step further, we take pride in, and I'm just going to say it, putting our kids out at 18 years old. But then when they get themselves in a pickle at 27, 30, or whatever, we then take pride of saying they back home with us. You see what I'm saying? But look what has taken place. Well, look what took place in those 10 years that they were gone. Bad credit, high debt, couple of kids, confused, potentially going to jail, maybe to prison, drug use. All these bad things happen
Probably a
as they're
divorce.
out there. Divorce, and then they come back and then we take pride. We go to church and say, "Yeah, I got my baby back home for a little bit, trying to get on their feet." We shouldn't do that. And we
No.
accept those conversations. And again, I'm just being real right now. We accept those conversations. That's crazy.
Yeah, guys, I appreciate this. Dr. Mac putting this together. All you guys think about it, guys. Benny is trying to say we bringing financial literacy back into our culture, and this has to be a culture shift, everybody. It has to be. The reality is that this is not the normal conversation at the table. This is not the normal conversation you hear in church circles. You don't hear pastors sitting around and say, "Hey guys, we're going to talk about financial literacy." We talk about who can out preach each other and who can do this. And
That's correct.
we're not talking about things that's going to really change the needle in our culture. Not only we find out the dominant culture and the Indian culture, the Asian culture and everything, it seems like we are the only culture that don't get it, guys. We just and then we fight each other and he doesn't know you, or we'll turn them off. We'll change the channel. We'll do something else. But as we continue to bring Christ back into the culture, guys, and as we continue to see this, it's a stewardship matter. It's a stewardship issue that we can be better stewards in God's kingdom starting now. But it has to start with what William Glasses said, guilt. Guilt is the best motivator. If we feel no guilt, we won't make no change. So guilt can help us say, okay, what does I need to change today? And as we have heard this today, let's not put it off, guys, another day. Let's start bringing it, have these conversations at the table with your children. My son realized something. He's realized, wait a minute, I could stay at my parents' house until I really get myself totally ready, financially stable and everything. One of my daughters said, shoot, I come stay with dad for a couple of years and get all my finances together, and then I'll
Yes.
move out and buy me a house.
Yes.
Exactly what you're saying.
That should be an
Yes.
God,
option.
so, guys, let's help our children change the narratives as we change the narrative too. Let's start reframing. Let's take advantage of the people who have the tools in our community and our neighborhoods that can really, really help us change this needle. If we don't do it, guys, who will? We're gonna wait for the next generation to do it. We're endangering them. Now, we were in a conference last week, Austin. We spent over $700 billion last year just in medication for depression and anxiety. $700 billion. Imagine how much that was a result of debt.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
All right, guys. So I'm gonna go ahead and close this out in prayer. So Derek, I got it. God, thank you for this day. Thank you for this message. God, but let it be a conviction in our hearts. Let us not just hear the word. Let us be doers of the word. Let us change the narrative. Let's change conversations. Let's change communities. Let's change cities, states, this world. Starting with us as Black men who have this burden to change this narrative. We shouldn't wait for someone else to do it for us. We don't need them to save us. When you told us, physician, even heal thyself. God, help us to be healed in our finances. Help us all to get a mindset that we can be debt free. We don't have to be slaves to the lender. We can be the lender and not the borrower. God, thank you for your word today. Thank you for what we heard today. And God, when we turn this camera off, let us turn our heart on. Because God, we thank you for all that you do today. And may we always be reminded one day we're going to have to give an account, but one day we can sit back and look at our children, children's children. As Reggie said, the children we won't even see are making a difference because we planted the seed in them. We watered the seed, and God, you made it grow. So, God, thank you for this day, and let us take this day and make the best of it. We thank you. In Christ's name we pray. Amen.